Hi, I'm Matt, and this is Making Dollars and Cents at the Box Office, Weekend 46. It was an out-of-this-world weekend for the box office, as our top 12 had super impressive performances. Leading this weekend's box office was Marvel's Doctor Strange, which repeated at spot number 1 with $43 million. Now, Doctor Strange only dropped 49.5% between its first and second weekend performances, and now brings its domestic cume up to $143 million in just 10 days. That officially makes it the second fastest single-character Marvel film to reach the $150 million domestic marker. But moreover, this is a huge moment for Disney because Doctor Strange's performance this past weekend now makes 2016 Disney's best year at the domestic box office ever. And Disney isn't done yet. What was surefire audience favorites like Moana and Rogue One, a Star Wars story, still to release this year, Disney is going to continue shattering some serious glass ceilings. Coming in second this weekend was DreamWorks Animation's Trolls, which brought in $35 million domestically in its sophomore weekend. Trolls only saw a 24.9% decline in revenue between its first and second weekend performances, which is huge because that makes it the best first to second weekend performance for an animated film in all of 2016. Now yes, technically that title does belong to The Wildlife that only saw a 17.1% drop, but really, a film that only made $8 million in its overall domestic cume, does that really deserve any titles? And touching down into third place was our first newcomer of the weekend, Paramount Pictures' Arrival, which brought in $24 million. Arrival is the latest piece from acclaimed director and storyteller Denis Villeneuve, who's best known for his works such as 2015's Sicario and 2013's Prisoners. I will be honest, Arrival is tied for my favorite film of the year. This film offers not only amazing performances from Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and yes, even Forest Whitaker, it is laced with exquisite and beautifully minimalistic cinematography, a score and soundscape that is both the equal of Interstellar, yet being completely different in both structure and functionality. And on top of all of that, this film has layers upon layers of meaning, just ready for its audience to decipher. Yes, to the outside observer, this is just a simple sci-fi thriller with aliens where the humans are racing against the clock to figure out who these visitors are and what they're looking for, but like Adam's character says early on in the film, this is just a premise generalized to hook the audience, when really, this film is as much about aliens as Gravity is about being lost in space. Arrival is an incredibly intelligent sci-fi film about the story of linguist Dr. Louise Banks, played by Amy Adams, who was called upon by the government the moment these curious-looking heptapods touched down in 12 seemingly random places across the Earth. In an attempt to figure out what these visitors want and why they're there, Banks is then charged with working alongside physicist Ian Donnelly, who is played by Jeremy Renner. Things escalate quickly across the globe, which only puts stress on an already stressed situation both at home and abroad. But Banks' refusal to give up and instead to push deeper into connecting with her foreign travelers just proves that while the fastest weapon drawn may be language, it can also be what unites us on an incredibly deep level, even in the worst of times. Adam's performance as she puts her skill set to the ultimate test trying to communicate with another life form from an entirely different planet is one of her best from recent memory. You are lost in the void of translation with her as the stakes outside rise ever higher and higher. You see the tightening grip of isolationism around her and the catastrophic events that it could render to everyone involved. And you're left feeling the highs and lows of our own humanity, expressed perfectly through her understanding that it all begins and ends with our ability to connect with one another. Yes, at times it might feel like you're sitting through an English lesson, but the juxtapositioning of these scenes and the expressiveness of this cast, you never once come away from the edge of your seat. I would put forth even that the reason why we feel this way to these moments in this film is because we've forgotten the core of why we have language. It's not to communicate with one another, it's to connect with each other. Trust me when I say this film is an out-of-this-world adventure that is so close to home that you'll be looking inside far deeper than you will be looking into the skies for answers. And finishing fourth this weekend was Almost Christmas, which got a nice little present of $15 million by getting to theaters extra early this holiday season. For a film made on a $17 million budget, that's not bad at all. And Universal got really lucky with this one, as it will probably not fare all that well in the coming weeks as more Christmas films come out. And the final newcomer for this weekend was Shut-In, which closed itself off so much so from the October thriller season that it came in spot number 7 with a meager $3.6 million. Given that Europa has this film and 9 Lives to its name for 2016, Lionsgate may not actually end up being the worst studio of the year. But looking ahead to this coming weekend, we have 3 big films coming to theaters. First up, we have the latest installment from the Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World universe, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Set in 1920s New York, this film promises to bring magic to audiences in more forms than just one. From spectacular visual effects, to amazing performances from Eddie Redmayne and Catherine Waterston and Ezra Miller, just to name a few, and with James Howard composing, this film is going to be a wonderful time for any and all audiences. Also releasing this coming weekend is Open Road Films' Bleed for This, starring Miles Teller and Aaron Eckhart. Inspired by our true story, Bleed for This is the story of Vinny, nicknamed the Tasmanian Devil, who after winning 2 world title fights and rising to stardom quite quickly, is involved in a near-fatal car crash that leaves him with a broken neck. Vinny is told he'll never see the inside of a ring again, but despite how easy giving up on his dreams would be in accepting his fate, Vinny, along with the help of Rooney, played by Aaron Eckhart, pushes himself to return to the ring for what could honestly be the last fight of his life. While this film has a lot of competition going against it this weekend, this is definitely an Oscar contender to keep on your radar, and arguably is one of Miles Teller's better performances. And our third newcomer for this weekend will be The Edge of 17, which is a coming-of-age story of Nadina, who at the peak of her social awkwardness finds herself more alone than ever after finding out her best friend is sleeping with her all-star brother. Yes, this film may sound like a rehash, albeit uninspired story, but the performance in this film and the bold and honest manner they go about telling this story does look like it'll be a refreshing take on an otherwise overdone genre topic. Well, that's it for this week. From mind-bending, out-of-this-world films to hidden magical worlds and all of the in-between, this is a weekend that you could honestly spend all day Saturday and all day Sunday watching movies at your local theater. And believe us, we're not gonna judge you for that. And remember, if you like this film, click subscribe, comment if you want to join the conversation, and we'll see you next week on Making Dollars and Cents at the box office.